Okay, here's some questions for modern America. If science keeps improving, because the average person on the street, they think science is real. Science tells you the truth. Science provides you useful information. And they're taught from the public schools that religion is a waste of time, it's fake, it's not real. Okay, well, how come if science keeps improving and it's better than ever, and we don't need Christianity, how come people are fatter and sicker than ever before? How come all this improvement in science doesn't make people healthier? Everything should be better. Everybody should be healthier, should look better, feel better, live longer, but they're not. They're dying sooner, they're fatter and sicker. Where's the science? If healthcare knows what it's doing, how come people are fatter and sicker? USA spends more money on healthcare by far than any other country. Why are the people fatter and sicker if the science is improving? Okay, why is it that in reality Christianity is what improves science? I know a lot of science. I've been up to my eyeballs in serious science, Stanford, Harvard, Ivy League science. And I can tell you the most important thing for good science is Christianity. Science, the modern scientific method, it comes from Christianity. If you know history, you'll know that that is true. Why is it that Christianity improves the quality of healthcare? Why is that when the society turns its back on Christianity, healthcare drops into the garbage can? Why is that? Okay, the next question is, if religion is a joke and science is the truth, how come people are more unhappy now than ever before? If you go around America compared to how it was in the 1970s, 1980s when I was a young guy, people are way more divorced, way more children born out of wedlock. Children are stupider than ever before. The performance of the kids on SAT tests, IQ tests, academic tests, they're dumber than ever before, okay? There's more abortions, there's more single alone cat ladies, there's more messed up kids than ever before because of, being raised without fathers. So what I'm saying is, if we don't need religion, and let's say we got economics, the big science of economics, with all these computers, all these smart people, how come the average person in the United States is much more poor than they ever before? When I was a young guy, couples in their 20s would buy a house, and the mother would stay home and have kids, and the father would work, and that'd be plenty to buy a nice house and a nice neighborhood. Out of all my friends, only one was divorced, and it was because, and that's the only one where the mother had to work. And none of the other families did the mom need to work. Okay, whereas nowadays, the vast majority of families, including where the husband's a doctor, most of the time the woman works. Okay, and I know lots of families where the husband and the wife work, and they both are barely getting by. I know a lot of the husband and the wife are working, and they can't even buy a house in their 20s at all, yet alone in their early 30s. They're hoping to be able to buy a house by the time they're about 40. When are they going to buy a house? When the kids are grown up? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Without Christianity, economics goes in the garbage can. And where did capitalism come from? It came from the Catholic Church, running Christendom in Europe, and then also running its missionaries to faraway places. It had to create win-win situations, which is what laissez-faire capitalism does. If religion is backward and unnecessary, why is there more violent crime now than ever before? Okay? When I grew up, you could go out in the street. When I grew up, all of the phone numbers were publicly listed because it didn't matter who knew your phone number. Nowadays, people don't want strangers to know their phone number. Okay. If religion is stupid and unneeded, just a burden, how come Americans have lost the right to free speech? And it's simple because, Gottfried Leibniz said, the German genius who co-inventor of calculus, he said, there's either God or nothingness. And if you don't have God, you have nothingness. And then you have a power vacuum. What fills the power vacuum? Secular power. What is secular power? Whoever's got the money. Okay, so now in the modern world, money controls everything. And the dirty little secret that the average pro doesn't understand is rich people hate poor people. And poor people don't even understand. It's not that they hate you. They consider you a life not worth living. As far as the rich people are concerned, and I know some really rich people, okay? The attitude, and I've read about them, they think the poor are just a waste of space, like vermin. They're using up the resources of the world. They're polluting the sky. They're polluting the atmosphere. They're polluting the water. They're polluting the lakes, the rivers. They think there's way too many of you. And they're trying to figure out strategies to reduce the number of proles. Okay? That's just a fact. But the average prole is so stupid from their public school educations. They think the system likes you. If the system likes you, why is there rat poison in the drinking water? Okay? That's what fluoride is. And it's made much more potent with aluminum. There's synergistic cotoxins. toxic to your gonads to lower your fertility, toxic to your brain to make you stupid. Why is that? Okay? If religion is just superstition and science is the truth, how come as the schools get religion out of the school and they teach more science, the kids keep getting stupider and stupider? I can tell you, I've studied a lot of the history of nations coming of age, and the number one thing that makes the population become intelligent is that they read the Bible in school. In Scotland, for example, in the 1700s, they had started the school system so everyone would read the Bible. As soon as they did that, education levels in Scotland went off the charts. It became the most educated country in all of Europe, and they produced tons of Scottish engineers. That's like a stereotype. Look at Scotty is the name of the engineer in Star Trek. Okay, all these Scottish engineers, like Andrew Carnegie, for example. All these Scottish engineers made all kinds of discoveries. Built Telford, built all these bridges, roadways, architecture, etc. And in other countries, the same thing. Start reading the Bible, education, academic intelligence goes off the charts. Okay, it comes from religion. Religion is the most important thing to teach, because once you teach that, people then are inspired to learn. They're inspired to go and achieve things. They're inspired to be a better person, inspired to try to have a happy family. Versus if you don't have that, people just become hedonistic. They just want to, why not just get drunk on the weekend and, try to get laid and nothing really matters. Life is meaningless with atheism. Okay, so the bottom line is society does not function without Christianity. As the trend continues to go towards more and more atheism, secularism, less and less Christianity, the whole of America just gets more and more poor, more and more unhappy, more and more crime. Everything gets worse. And it's obvious if you read the Old Testament, when a society turns its back on God, God turns his back on the society, and they get conquered from outside, and they get forced into slavery. And that's where USA is headed. It's headed towards slavery. We've lost the right to free speech. We're progressively losing the right to own property. It's only going to get worse unless there's a revival of interest in Christianity. It's obvious to anybody who knows history. And secular power players, they don't want it. They want slavery. Because you got to remember, if there is no God, there is no religion, then they become the equivalents of gods on earth, like Roman emperors. And that's what they want. Then they have total power. They can have any woman they want in their bed. They have unlimited money, unlimited resources, and that's it. Anyways, these are some questions for modern America.